Good evening, good evening, everybody. Welcome along. Very good to see you all here. Hopefully, you can hear and see me okay. Very good to have you all this evening over here on this webinar. Now, today's topic, as you know, is programming your mind for success. So, we will be working on some very interesting topic today, and hopefully, you'll have a lot to take away from this training. Now, the reason why I've decided to run this training at the beginning of January in particular, because we're starting a new year, and really the whole idea for this training is to think, is this going to be just another year, or is this going to be the year that you're going to look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now to say, wow, that was the life-changing, the game-changing year of my life. And that's really the whole idea for today's webinar, is to help you to maybe change certain things, or to help you with certain things that might have been stopping you in the past from succeeding and from achieving everything that you wanted. I was saying earlier on, if 2014 ended and you haven't achieved everything you wanted, or you haven't succeeded in every area that you wanted to succeed, is nothing to be ashamed about, or etc. But the question is why? Why have you not got everything you wanted in 2014? Why haven't you succeeded in every area that you wanted? Now, in certain cases, there might be some things like mental blocks, like certain attitudes and ideas that might be stopping you from succeeding. And that's something that I want to talk about today, and I want to try and challenge and maybe break through those barriers in order to help you. Now, this whole training is the information that I've gathered through from top business and life coaches in the business industry, in this coaching and self-development industry, and hopefully you will find these useful as I did, because for me, all of these little bits that I've collected over my business career were very useful for me, because they were changing my mindset, changing my attitude, and helping me to understand certain things that I didn't understand before, maybe, or change my attitude towards them. So I hope that they will be as useful for you as well as they were for me. Now, the theme that will be running throughout this webinar is that mindset, or your attitude, or your thoughts is everything. I mean, if you haven't got your mindset right or your attitude right, it does not matter what you're going to do, you will not succeed, because success is mainly a psychology, a philosophy. It's not labor, it's not hard work, it's not physical effort. 9 times out of 10, to achieve the success you want in life, it will require a mental paradigm shift, and that's something that we're going to try and approach today. Now, this webinar should be recorded automatically, and it should automatically be placed on YouTube channel as soon as we finish it. So you will be able to rewatch it if you missed something, or share it with people that you would like to share it with. It should be on there, and I hope it's going to be done automatically. Now, if you're watching this on the Google Hangout, you should be seeing a group chat box somewhere. I see it on the right hand side. I'm not sure about you guys, but you should see it there, and you can comment and you can post questions there, etc. And hopefully I'll be able to see them and answer them as we're going along, or once we finish. If you're watching this on YouTube, then again, you should have an ability to post comments underneath at the bottom somewhere there, and then again, I should be able to see them and answer any of those questions as we're going along, or answer them later on. Or if you need any help, or if you have any questions, etc. for future, you'll be able to place them there, and I will hopefully answer those for you. So that's pretty much with our introduction, and I want to just try and share my screen with you guys so that you can see my slides. Okay. Let's see if I can do that. Right, so theoretically, you should be able to see my slides now. If you can, yes, by the looks of it, you do see my slides, which is terrific. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started. So, programming your mind for success. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you today about is dream versus income cycle. And this is an important idea that I came across, and for me, it really rung true. And the dream versus income cycle works pretty much like that. So on the left-hand side here, you can see the dream cycle, and the dream cycle is pretty much everything you want to achieve in life. So things like a house, and for different people the dream cycle will contain different things, but it's basically the things that you want to achieve in life, that you would like to have in ideal life. If you had an ideal life, these are the things that you'd like to have, these are the things that you'd like to own, etc. Okay, so here we have house, car, holiday, private education, holiday home, a Rolex watch, etc. Now, as you can see, this list is endless, and we could go on and on and on and on and on, all the things that you'd like to have in life. But so far, just mentioning these couple, we came up to about £890,000, right? Now, on the other side, we have what we call an income cycle. Now, an average income in UK, I'm not specialist in that area, but I think it's around £30,000 per year. Now I'm not a very good person in maths, but I can see a little problem here between the £890,000 lifestyle and £30,000 income per year. Now, as you can imagine, it would be very difficult to live an £890,000 life with £30,000 income. And in this case, then, there's only two solutions. One solution, unfortunately, which most people will choose, is to shrink their dreams. So even though when they were young, they wanted to have, a very nice house, they wanted to have a, great car, they wanted to have all of these things, as they get older, the income is not going to allow to have those things. And what happens? They shrink their dreams. So instead of, a nice mansion, a semi-detached, becomes okay. Instead of, a Ferrari, a 10-year-old Toyota becomes fine. And all of these things, we start shrinking our dreams. Now, luckily, there is a second solution. And second solution is to increase your income. Now, I always say I cannot help you with shrinking your dreams, but I can definitely help you with increasing your income. And whenever I hear somebody complaining about petrol prices, I always laugh. I say, would you like to do something about it? And they say, well, what can I do about petrol prices? Well, I say, you can't do anything about petrol prices, but you can double your income and don't worry about them. So the second option is to simply increase your income to match your dreams. And that is the road less traveled, and that's what the least amount of people choose, because this is, guess what? It is challenging. It is harder. It is more difficult to do. However, then you get to live the life you want to live, and it's up to you which path you want to choose. Now, also, there's a business mindset. Most people want to go from employed, working for somebody else, to become business owner, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen like that, because a lot of people end up going from employed to unemployed. And what happens is that they start pretending to work. They start, because they don't have the motivation, because they don't have the boss who would be standing there and telling them what to do, every day, every minute, they stop performing. They start waiting, they stop working hard, because they have to discipline themselves, so they lose the motivation, and then they start to pretend to work. They say, I got up in the morning and got dressed. That's just like working. I got in a car and I drove somewhere. That's just like working. I sat behind some desk, and that's just like working. Unfortunately, it isn't working, Because in business, as you know, the only time we work is when we are in front of a potential customer or potential business partner. That's the only time when we actually work. Everything else is preparation to work, So therefore, we should always organize ourselves and make sure that most of the time we spend is actually talking to a potential customer or potential business partner who could join our business. That's the idea. That's the time when we work. Also, are you selling big business benefits with small business efforts? Very often I hear people saying, if only you do this little, you can have all of these, money and all of the cars and all of the millions, etc. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. As we know, if you want to earn big, then you have to work big. If you want to work small, then you will be earning small too. Your efforts are directly proportionate to your income. So if you're gonna sell your business, sell it for what it is. So if you work just a little bit, then you will earn just a little bit. If you work really hard, then you can expect to earn really, really big income. And there is an investment into business. And as we always say, in traditional business, you have to invest money in order to make more money. Let's say you had a taxi company. In order for you to make more money, you have to invest money, buy more taxis, then you start making more money. Now, in our type of businesses, we don't have to invest money usually in order to make more money. However, what we have to do is invest our time and effort, which is what we call the sweat equity. So there is still investment, but you don't invest money, you invest in your time and effort. And the more of your time and effort you can invest, the larger the income you can expect to gain from your business. And there is a progression, of course. So unfortunately, the first part is the hardest part, and that's the part that gets most people out of the business. Because in the beginning, we are investing full-time effort in order to earn part-time income. And this is what gets most people, because they're used to a job, they're used to a 9 to 5 where they go to work, they get paid, as soon as they did their work, straight away they get paid. And that's what they expect when they go into business. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. As many of you know, if you start a franchise business like, like a McDonald's, it will take you years before you even start earning money, because investment is so large, it takes a couple of years just to get your own money back before you even start making any money. But people who come from a job environment into a business environment, they expect to put in full-time effort and to get paid full-time income straight away. Unfortunately, in business, it doesn't happen like that. At the beginning, we have what we call the investment stage, where we are putting full-time effort, but we're only getting paid a part-time income, considerably smaller than what you would earn in normal conditions. Luckily, this is not the end of it, because as the time goes on, we still investing full-time effort, but now we start being paid full-time income, which is the break-even point, where we reaching the income that we supposed to be making for putting that sort of work. But that still is not it, because if that was it, this would just be a job, because in a job you put in full-time effort, you get paid full-time income, and that is the end of the story. But in business, it doesn't work like that. So the next step is when our effort goes down, now we're investing part-time effort, but the income is still full-time income. And this is what we call the growth or the progress stage, where your business starts growing and it starts earning you more money than you putting the effort in, which is the idea why most people go into business in the first place, because of this passive income. And then, of course, as the time progresses, we go into what we call financial freedom stage, where we are putting some time effort, which means we work only as much as we like to, and we get paid full-time income plus some. So a lot larger income than we could expect to get paid for that sort of effort. So this is where we say that other people retire you. So as you're building your business, other people, you want it or not, other people will retire you at some point, where you no longer have to go to work in order to earn the money, because people that you brought into the business, train them, teach them, and support them, they have now reached the level of success where they need to be, and they retire you from your position, and you are no longer required to be there. And this is what we call leverage, where you're leveraging other people's efforts as well as yours. And this is how we would look on a chart. And on the left hand side here, you can see the money. At the bottom, you can see the time, and then you can see the different people progress at different rates. So somebody might go really, really fast and progress really quickly, other people slightly slower, other people even slower, and other people even more slower. And at the end of the day, it's not a race. Everybody progresses at their own pace. And this is your effort. This is your effort. You know, the more effort you put in, the faster you progress. Now, as you can see, the first part, the line is basically the break-even point, is where you start earning, putting full-time effort and earning full-time income. But this first part, until you reach that break-even point, is what we call the pain. And this is the hard part, and this is the part where most people will quit, because they cannot wait long enough. They cannot see the vision. They cannot see the potential of the business. And as they've done a few weeks or few months and they get discouraged, they say, you know what, I'm better off to go back to work. And they go back to work and they continue where they were for the rest of their life. But then after the break-even point, here we have what we call the pleasure. This is the point where you start earning income larger than your efforts. And the beauty of the business side is that this is infinite, which means there is no cap. In a normal job, you'll have a cap where there isn't a possibility for you to earn any more than what you're earning at a certain position. But here, it is infinite, because your income can be increasing and increasing and increasing, and there's virtually no limit to it. Okay, so are you a salesperson? And many people are scared of this notion of being a salesperson, or having to sell something, and they're scared of it. And at the end of the day, it is foolish to be scared of it, because there's nothing to be scared of. But part of the business, you will have to sell. Because first part is selling yourself. Before we talk about products or anything else, you have to sell yourself. Why would I purchase from you? Why would I join your business? You have to prove yourself to me, that you are the right person for me, and that you will be supporting and helping me, etc. So first part is actually selling yourself. The second part is selling the product. Whatever your product is, you have to move products. Some people say, oh, our business, we don't sell products. Nonsense, because unless product is sold, nobody earns any money, because that's where the money comes in the business. It's from the product sales. So what we have to do is obviously move products within our organization. And then lastly is selling the business. If you want to recruit, if you want to build your organization, then you have to sell the business. You have to sell the concept to somebody else, and you have to sell the idea of owning a business, of working within the business and running your own business. Now, in order to all of that, there's an awful lot of selling, isn't it? However, it is the way you look at sales. They done some survey where they found that about 7 out of 10 people were afraid of dying. And then they did another survey where they found that about 9 out of 10 people were afraid of selling, which would mean that 2 out of 10 people would rather die than sell, which means that they are not too keen about sales. However, the one concept that really helped me in sales was the concept of Zig Ziglar, where he says that selling is essentially a transfer of feeling. If you understand sales as that, then it becomes very, very, very natural part of your life, and it is not scary at all. Because if I can make you feel about my product the way I feel about it, you're going to purchase my product. There's no question. If I can make you feel about my business the way I feel about it, then you're going to join my business. There is no question about it. So it is all about transferring that feeling. It's all about really recommending something good to somebody else that could help them. It's not thinking about you, it's thinking about them, and it's transferring that feeling. And this is the reason why you have to be emotional, why you have to be passionate about what you do. This is why you have to be upbeat and motivated and positive. When people listen to how I present the product or how I present the business, they always go, wow, you're so passionate about this thing. And I say, well, if I wasn't, why would you be about it, passionate about it or excited about it? So I have to be excited because I want to transfer that feeling onto you. Okay, the next thing is developing winning attitude. And developing winning attitude, I think, is probably the most important thing that will keep you going day in, day out. And one of the persons that I'd like to mention is Tom Big Al Schreiter. Now, some of you might not know who Big Al is or Tom is. And Tom He's a very, very successful business person nowadays. But when Tom first started in his first company, he and his wife, well, to say nicely, they didn't do very well in their business, because for 1 year and 10 months, they haven't sold a single product and they haven't recruited a single person into the business. Now, for 1 year and 10 months, that carried on. And as you can imagine, they were getting very, very frustrated in the business. But obviously, after some time, they realized that succeeding in business is all about learning the skills. So they went on, they learned the skills of selling, of recruiting, of leading people, etc. And they became very, very successful in their organization. They actually went on to open the company of their own later on. So they became very, very successful. But a couple of years later, somebody approached Tom and they asked him, they said, Tom, for 1 year and 10 months, you haven't sold anything and you haven't recruited anybody. Why did you not quit? And Tom simply said, well, me and my wife, we didn't know that we can quit. Nobody told us that we can quit. And I think this is the sort of attitude that each and every one of us should have. Quitting is not an option. You can quit when you succeed, when you achieve everything you want. But before then, quitting is not an option. Imagine if you are with a baby and you would have said, no, I quit. I'm not going to learn how to walk, because I fell down once, I fell down twice. I had enough of this. I'm not going to learn how to walk at all. And you would be crawling still. You are 20, 30, 40, 50 years old and you're still crawling around because you refuse to learn how to walk. That wouldn't look nice, and you don't see that happening, because children, they never quit. They will fall down, bump their head, come back up, and they will do it until they get it right? That's exactly how you should look at your business. The other person I'd like to mention is Julius Erving, or how they used to call him, Dr. J. Now, Dr. J, I think, was one of the first basketball players in history to be paid $4 million for 1 year. They paid $2 million to transfer him from one basketball club to another, and another $2 million to pay him as a salary. Now, in them days, $4 million was a lot of money. It's not a lot nowadays, but it used to be a lot. Now, when they asked Julius, they said, what is your secret of success? What makes you the basketball player that you are? Because he was one of the best. And he simply said, I demand more of myself than anybody else could ever expect. And this is, I think, is paramount and is the secret of succeeding in every area of your life, whether it's physical fitness, whether it's business, whether it's family life, whether it's anything else. If you demand more of yourself than your wife could, or your husband could, or your children could, or your boss could, or your business could, or your customers could, if you demand more of yourself than all of those people, then trust me, you'll have no problems and you will be progressing very fast and your income will be very, very good, because you're always demanding more of yourself. You're not trying to get away with as little as you can, but you demanding more. You're doing more than you require. You're going the extra mile every turning, of your life. Imagine that. Imagine that winning attitude. I think this is really, really the winning attitude. Also, believing in your potential. One thing that I've heard, and I really agree with that nobody is better than you. They are just doing things you're not doing yet. Successful people, they know better than you. They don't have 2 heads or 3 arms or 4 legs or anything like that. They are the same people as you. They started very often even worse places than you have started, and they have succeeded in life. But simply because they might be doing things that you are not doing yet, or they might be doing more of the things that you're doing right now. And also, you should never question your ability. You should always question your performance. You are good enough. You are able enough. Trust me. There are people with much lower IQs than you who have millions in their bank accounts. So you are good enough. Trust me. The one thing you should question is your performance, your day-to-day activity. Are you working? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? I always say, you only have time to be sorry for yourself and to be miserable when you're not active. Because if you're working 16-hour days, you don't have time to be sorry for yourself and you don't have time to question yourself. It is only when you stop the activity, then the negative thoughts will come into your life. So always, always, always go for the activity. Also, what is your why factor? What is the reason for you to succeed in the first place? Why? Why should you succeed? Why should you have the things that you want in life? Why? The why is the fuel, is the petrol, is the thing that will drive you in this business. The why factor. And if your why is really, really small, if you just go, yeah, I want to be rich one day. Well, why do you want to do that? Well, it sounds good. That is not strong enough. That is not a strong enough reason to keep you going through the hard times. And there will be hard times, I can guarantee that. So your why is your catalyst. It's everything you have to push you through those bad times. And if it's small, then the how, or all the difficulties and all the problems and all the bad things that can happen in your life, will be overwhelming. Because then you will find all the reasons why you shouldn't succeed, all the excuses why it's too hard and it's too difficult, and you're not good enough, you're not old enough, or you're too old, or you're too black or too white or too green or too yellow, or whatever the reason is. You will then start seeing this how as a massive obstacle. However, you must have heard these stories where children, get under the cars and moms would grab the car and lift the car. In the usual circumstances, that lady would not lift the car. But when the life of the child is in danger, she will do extraordinary things. So this is when the why becomes so big that the how doesn't even matter. And we always say that there are 3 levels of commitment in this business. The first level of commitment, when somebody comes and say, oh, well, I'll try it. Which means I'm going to quit, I just don't know when. But they already quit in their mind. They already said to themselves, it's okay to quit, because I'll try it means that somebody will say boo and they will quit the business. So that is very, very, very bad level of commitment. The second level of commitment is when a person says, I will do my best, which is the better level of commitment, because here they're saying that, look, I'm going to do, what I think my best is. So they're going to put some work and effort into this thing, in order to succeed. But the best level of commitment is when somebody joins the business and they say, I will do whatever it takes, even more than I think right now that I could do. And that's the attitude. If you have an attitude of doing whatever it takes, then how does it becomes not important. Look, imagine if I told you that, if you bring 3 people, potential people who could join this business, I will give you, let's say, £100,000. How long do you think it would take you to get those 3 people in the room in front of me? Would you need a class on recruiting? Would you need a class on inviting? I don't think so. You would just say, just make sure the £100,000 is there. I'll see you in 20 minutes with 3 people, right? So the fact is then that you have the ability. It's not the ability that the problem, it's the motivation. It's the why. It's the reason to go out and do it. That means at the moment, the reason why you haven't succeeded yet in your business is not because you haven't got the ability, because you just admitted that you could go out and get those people if the prize would be big enough. It's just the incentive is not there, or you're not motivated enough to go out and do what you have to do in order to achieve things you want to achieve in life, or in your business. And it's about making a decision. At the end of the day, you have to decide, what life do you want to live? Is it first class life, second class life, or no class? I mean, it can be as beautiful as first class, or it can be second class, or it can be no class. At the end of the day, it is your decision. Nobody else can decide it for you, whether it's for a good life or for a bad life. It is nobody else's responsibility, only yours. And you have to choose. You have to make that decision, because unless you make the decision, you can't even progress anywhere, because then you're nowhere, because you haven't decided even what you want from life. And key to failure and success, many people that I meet, and I was one of those, I used to be searching. I used to look for that secret to success. I used to say, what is it? There must be more. There must be something that these successful people are doing that I don't know about, or I'm not doing, and they're succeeding and I'm not succeeding. What's the secret? And I found the secret. Unfortunately, it wasn't as exciting as I hoped it was. Well, it actually is exciting, but it wasn't something that I expected it to be. Well, you see, the secret to success or secret to failure can be illustrated by this graph. At the bottom here, we have the key to failure. And key to failure is small errors in judgment repeated every day. And key to success is small disciplines practiced every day. Now, what we mean by that is success or failure does not happen instantly. If it did, it would be helpful. You see, if you had a cigarette and you got a lung cancer right away, nobody would ever smoke. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 and nothing happens, and it seems to be okay, but years and years later, we realized that it wasn't okay, and now it's causing some serious problems with our health. Same with eating habits. You know, if you had a burger and died of a heart attack instantly, then it would be helpful because nobody would eat junk food. But it doesn't happen like that, does it? It takes years to kill you. And that's why the success works exactly the same way. You know, you are on this webinar tonight, you listening to this information, and you might be doing different things. You know, you just because you're listening to this webinar, will you make more money right now, today? Probably not. However, somebody else you know is now sitting on a couch watching some soap opera with a can of beer in their hand. Are they going to earn some money tonight? No, they won't earn any money either. So it seems that there is no difference. Whether you are listening to this educational material and somebody else is sitting with a can of beer, there seems to be no difference. However, imagine if you keep practicing these small disciplines, going to trainings, educating yourself, acting on your business, approaching people, selling product, recruiting people, day in, day out, day in, day out. And imagine the other person spending every single evening with a can of beer in front of a television, a can of beer in front of a television. Do you think there will be any difference over time? Yes, there will be a massive difference. However, it takes time to see the difference. And sometimes it's difficult to see it at the very beginning when you're here because the difference seems very, very small. But as the time progresses, you start seeing the two paths, one to success and one to failure. Also, don't start the day before it's finished. And I loved when I saw this phrase first time, I thought, wow, this is genius. The whole idea goes around the fact that we have to plan our time. We have to plan our days, our months, our years, etc. Because imagine this is a construction site, and imagine they are about to build a building here, and an architect is standing on the side of this construction yard, and a builder comes to an architect and says, well, how is this building going to look like? And an architect goes, well, I don't know. You know, let's just start building it and we see what happens. No. That would not happen. They would take the architect to a safe place, right? Because the building has to be finished in somebody's head, in architect's head preferably, and on the drawings before they even started, before they even start to dig the ground. It has to be finished to a minute detail. They know how the glass will look like. They know how everything will look like before they even start building it. But that's exactly how we should treat our time. When you start your day, you should already have it finished in your head. You should already have it planned. But do most people do that? Absolutely not. They wake up and they just roll through these days waiting to see what's going to happen. They haven't got a slightest idea what will happen today, what will happen this week, what will happen this year, etc. And they work without a plan. They work without an idea, without a direction. Now that's same like building a building without having a real blueprint or without having a project. It is bound to become a disaster. And that's what happens with a lot of people's lives. They live 10, 20, 30, 40 years only to find themselves in a very, very bad position where they didn't want it to end up, but because they didn't plan ahead, obviously, it just turned out the way it turned out. So Jim Rohn always says, never begin the day before it's finished on paper. So always, always, always plan your time, the days ahead, the weeks ahead, etc. Otherwise, you're going to end up with the ultimate negative scenario. And do you know what that is? Well, they say it's pretty bad to be broke, right? Unless you're broke and stupid, right? Because being broke and stupid, that's pretty as bad as it can get, right? Unless you're sick. Because if you're sick, broke, and stupid, that's pretty much the most negative scenario in life. Unless, of course, you're ugly, right? Because broke, sick, stupid, and ugly, that's as bad as it can get. Now, luckily, none of you on this call are one of these people, so you are in a very good position to get ahead now, right? And it's changing the perspective. At the end of the day, for you to change it, it has to be changed in the perspective. And for me, this what helped. When I saw this from Zig Ziglar, it really struck my mind. It says you can have everything you want in life if you just help enough other people to get what they want. Now, many of you have heard this phrase before and you did not understand it. I promise you, because I heard this phrase so many times, and it was just a nice fluffy saying. It was nice positive thought, but I never really understood it until very recently. Because if you think deeply what this actually means, what it actually means is that it is your responsibility to change other people's lives. Very often when I train people on sales, when I train people on recruiting, they say to me, well, I feel embarrassed to approach people and sell to them, or I feel embarrassed to approach people to recruit them. And I go, well, you don't get it then. And they go, what do you mean? What do you mean I don't get it? I feel embarrassed. How can I not get it? I feel ashamed. I feel scared of being rejected. And how can I not get it? And I go, you don't get it because you're thinking that this is all about you. You have nothing to do with the sales process, and you have nothing to do about recruitment. It's about them. It's about the people. The only reason why you should be approaching these people to sell to them or to recruit them, because your product is going to solve their problem, or your business is going to help them financially. This is the only reason why you should be approaching them. And if you're approaching them not because of you, not because of what you're going to gain, what you're going to earn, or what you're going to get by recruiting them, then it's all about them, and then you shouldn't be embarrassed. Why would you be embarrassed if you were helping somebody? Do you feel embarrassed when you give some money to a beggar? Do you feel embarrassed when you give money to charity? No, because you're giving something to people who need it, right? Exactly the same way when you're selling something or you're recruiting somebody into the business, that's the attitude you should have. You are out there to help them. It is you giving them, not they giving you by saying, yes, I will buy from you, or yes, I will look at your business. It is the other way around. It is you giving them something good that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So it is completely different, change in perspective. And this is what you have to understand. This is about helping other people, and then you will get whatever you want anyway. If you just help enough other people to get what they want, and to know what they want, what do you need to do? You need to ask them. You need to stop giving this verbal diarrhea onto people where you just tell things that you want to tell, and you need to start listening to them and asking them, what is it that you want? What are the problems that you have right now? What are the challenges that you have right now? How do you like your job? Do you like what you do? Do you earn enough money in your job? And finding what they really need and then giving it to them. Not what you think they need, but asking them what do they need and finding it. So it is the you appeal. How can I help you? Not how can you help me? And eat that frog. Eat that frog. Seriously, eat that frog. Now, what I mean by that, this is from Brian Tracy, and Brian Tracy has this concept of saying, eat that frog. What it basically means, he says that every day when we get up, we have a list of things we need to do. However, some of those things are less important than others. And Brian Tracy basically says the things that will change your life, that will impact your financial future, that will impact your business, they are usually the uncomfortable things. They are usually calling people or going to see people, visiting them, trying to sell them or trying to recruit them or whatever it is. And that's usually what is uncomfortable for people to do, where you have to push yourself out of the comfort zone. And what Brian says is, he says, imagine you woke up in the morning and you had to eat a frog. Now, there is no way out of it. You cannot delegate this task. You have to eat it. And he says, when do you think would be the best time to do it? Now, naturally, of course, it would be the best time to do it is right away, because thinking about it is not going to help, is it? It's just going to become harder and harder as you think about it, right? So it's luckily, you're not going to have to eat any frogs. I promise you that. However, those frogs are the things that you have to do in order to progress in your career, in order to progress in your business. And these are the things that you feel the most uncomfortable with. So when you get up in the morning, you should attack those things first, because even though they are most uncomfortable things to do, they are the things that will earn you the most money and that will help you to progress in your business the most. compared to all the other things like going to gym and going to do some shopping and going to do this and that, which yes, you have to do them, but they are not important. They're not going to change your life. They're not going to earn you any money. And if you're struggling for money, then that's what you should be doing. First things you should be doing is things that are going to earn you money. Okay, I'm becoming a millionaire. Now, millionaire, in my eyes, it became somewhat a cliche, something that people don't even look seriously anymore, because they say, oh, millionaire, you know, everybody wants to be a millionaire. But for me, being a millionaire is something else. You know, I always say, you know, and I got it from Jim Rohn. He says you have to decide to become a millionaire, not for the money. I mean, money is good, but for what it makes of you to become one. Because as you know, in order to have what you don't have today, you will have to become someone else or better you in order to be there. In order to have things you've never had, you'll have to become and do things that you've never done. You know, and that is a natural progression. It's a natural self-development, and that's what helps. You know, because a lot of people I meet, they say, oh, I have 10 years experience in this thing. And I go, no, 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 no. You don't have 10 years experience. What you have is 1 year's experience repeated 10 times, because you don't learn from your mistakes. You repeat them year after year after year after year, and you expect a different result. You know, many people, New Year's come and they say, well, this year I'm going to lose some weight. And 2 weeks later, they're in Burger King eating burgers and chips, you know. Or they go, I'm going to quit smoking this year for sure, you know. And 2 weeks later, they're buying another pack of Marlboro, you know. Come on, you know, you have to learn. You know, they say there's nothing wrong with making mistakes, but it's bad not to learn from them, you know. So you have to learn from your mistakes. And one of the things to do is to make changes, you know, because otherwise, as Albert Einstein says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You know, it is impossible. Okay, and the two keys to accomplishment are wise use of all resources and full development of all of your potential. Think about it. If you use all of your resources, being your money, your talents, your skills, your knowledge, your time, if you use all of your resources and then you develop full of your potential, everything you can be, and think, I seriously doubt that any one of you on this call have mastered all of your potential, has the world seen the best of you, has the world seen everything, have you given everything you can give, and you can honestly put your hand to your hearts and say, look, there is nothing more in me that I can give? Or is there more inside of you? If there is more inside of you, that means there is still more potential in you. So wise use of your resources and full development of your potential. And it's learning from the nature. If you think about it, you know, how tall will a tree grow? Provided that it gets all the water, all the sunshine, all the nutrition, it will grow as tall as it can. It will not stop halfway. You know, you'll never see a tree that stops halfway and says, oh, I can't be bothered to grow anymore. It's not going to happen. You know, how big will the fish grow? Again, if you give it all the food and all the nutrition, my God, they will grow big, right? But humans, on the other hand, because we've been given the dignity of choice, we sometimes choose not to grow. We choose not to progress, and we choose not to develop ourselves, and we choose not to stretch ourselves and not to push ourselves out of comfort zone, because we just decide not to. We can't be bothered. We are lazy. We need some me time. We need to relax a little bit, and all of that. Nonsense. You know, you as a person, as a human being, you were made to be the best. You were made to be a champion. And if you don't become one, it's only your own fault. Nobody else's. You know, you were made to become a superstar. You know, you have all the health and all the skills and all the talents and all the everything what you need to have in order to become the best that you can become the best. But it is only your willingness that will prevent you from that. So unleashing your potential, you know, has the world seen the best of you, or do you have more inside you? You know, are you just a contender, or are you a pretender? You know, are you the one that sees the train of the opportunity and you wave it goodbye? Or are you on the train of the opportunity? And are you traveling in it, and are you in it to win it? You know, why not you? Why not you? Why are you not good enough to be the best you can be, to achieve everything you want to achieve and to have everything that you could have? The only things that can stop you is lack of belief, lack of commitment, or lack of hard work. What you have to do is learn and apply. Learn and apply. This information that you're receiving today, it's great. I'm sure you're enjoying it. I'm sure some of these things are starting to twitch some things inside you and motivate you a little bit and get you a little bit fidgety in your chair maybe. But now the next step is to apply. It's not just learning, it's about learning and putting it to work. Learning and putting it to work. Don't become what we call an information junkie, where you just listen to the information and you go and do nothing about it. You listen to new information and you go and do nothing about it. You have to put it to work. And excellence is the result of always striving to be better. That's all it is. Excellence is the result of always striving to be better. Do you do that? Do you stretch yourself? Do you say to yourself, how better I am today than I was yesterday? How better am I this year, or I'm going to be this year, than I was last year? How do you stretch yourself? Because the secret is not about getting ahead of others, but it's about getting ahead of ourselves. Beating your own records first. Don't worry about other people. Don't worry about what others do or what others don't do. Worry about yourself first. And if hard work is not another name for talent, then it is definitely the best possible substitute for it. I always say, that the hard work will beat talent any day. Any day. If you work hard, you will always beat the talented one. Because talent is not everything. Hard work is, trust me. And we can either look for reasons to succeed or excuses to fail. You can't look for both, because your mind can only accept one thing at a time. So you're either looking for reasons to succeed or you're looking for excuses to fail. Try to be the positive one. Try to be the one looking for the positive stuff. I promise you, your life will change. Because they say where focus goes, energy flows. So if you focus on the positives in your life, you will have more positives, and that's where your energy going to go. But if you focus on all the negatives in your life, then guess what? You're going to have a lot more negatives in your life, because your brain is saying, look, you're looking for these things, you keep focusing on them, I'm going to give more of them to you. If you want more negatives, trust me, I can get you more negatives. So stop. Try and break that chain and start focusing on things that you want in life, instead of focusing on all the bad things and all the things that you don't want in life and all the things that you're not happy about, because it doesn't help you to ponder on them. And not reaching your full potential is like buying a Ferrari and driving it at 40 miles an hour. Trust me, it's not fun. That car wasn't made for 40 miles an hour. It was made for much more than that. And that's exactly the same like you. You were born to be a champion. So if you just, if you're just pushing along, and if you're just saying, well, I'll pull through another year, then that is not fun. That is just like, oh my gosh, it is not fun. So decide what you want and then go at it with everything you've got. And I mean everything you've got. Have you ever given your 100%? Be honest with yourself. Have you ever in your life went for 30 days or for 90 days 100%? I mean 100%, where you literally can say, my God, I went 100%. I don't sleep, I don't eat, I don't do anything until I succeed. You just go at it. You just go at it. No days off, no television time, no me time, and no relaxation. Just really hard, focused effort for a certain period of time. Have you ever even done that? If you haven't done that, then you can't really say, oh, my business doesn't work, or my this doesn't work, or I'm not good enough, or whatever it is, because you haven't even given it 100% yet. And Michael Jordan, he puts it very, very nicely. He says, I can accept failure, but I cannot accept not trying. Failure is actually not a loss. It's a mentality. It's a state of mind. You can only be a failure if you accept that you're a failure. For me, failure is not, a defeat. Failure is just a lesson. Failure is just an experience. Failure is just another way how not to do it. You need to get uncomfortable in order to get comfortable. If you don't get uncomfortable, you're just kidding yourself, because you're not going to succeed. The only people who succeed are the people who fail the most. And this is, the train wreck example, where they say, imagine if you went into a train wreck, and you survived, you get out, and you touch yourself, you see that, okay, you're healthy, nothing happened, you're not bleeding anywhere, etc. And then you see a bunch of other people struggling to get out of the train wreck. The question is, would you go back and help them? And most of you say, well, of course, if I'm healthy, if I'm not bleeding or anything, I'll go back and help others to get out, right? Now, this is the way you should look your financial situation and your business life. Your first task is to get out of the situation where you are right now, to become financially free, to become secure, to become happy, to become, pardon me, to become successful. But once you've done that, your job is then to go back to that train wreck and help other people to become financially sound and secure, to help other people to earn more money, to help other people to become more successful in life by helping them to get out of that virtual train wreck that they are right now. So your job is to succeed and to go back and help others. And limitations are not real too. The person who has put a limit on what he or she is going to do has put a limit on what he or she is going to achieve. You see, there is no limitation in our mind except the one that we set. When you are born, there is no limits in your mind. Look at children, listen how they talk. They go, I'm going to be an astronaut, I'm going to be a superstar, I'm going to be a Spider-Man, except they've got no limits in their brain and in their head. They're going to do everything. Only when we get older, we start putting these limits into our brain, and that's why, we always say that humans are the only ones who've been given a choice, and you have to decide, where you want to go. Unfortunately, many people choose to underachieve. They choose to live this, what they call, quiet life of desperation, where they're not happy, but they don't do anything about it. They just in this constant state of stress, of unhappiness, of lack, of insufficient everything, and they don't do anything about it. That's the worst case about it. And one of these things is television. I always say to people, look, how much does your television cost you? And people go, well, I don't know, £200, £300, £400. And I go, no, not to buy it. To buy it is cheap. How much watching your television cost you? And then people go, now I get what you say. Because television is what we call EIR, or the electronic income reducer. That's what it is. So television can cost people 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 pounds a year because of the amount of time they spend in front of it. And if just because if you don't have a television, it might be something else, but what we're talking about is habits that are causing you not to succeed, habits that are wasting your time, habits that are not helping you to achieve and succeed in life. How much do they cost you? Just think about it. And the difference between ordinary and extraordinary, what is the difference? Well, the difference is extra. People who go from ordinary to extraordinary, they go the extra mile. They go the extra bit. They do the extra sale. They do the extra presentation. They do the extra recruitment event. They do extra calls. They meet extra customers, etc. They just do more. Simple as that. They just go that extra mile. They are always demanding more of themselves than somebody else could ever demand. That's the attitude. That's the winning attitude. And it's building foundation for your business. At the end of the day, you have to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, because your value in the marketplace is determined by how much you invest in yourself. Can somebody work for a company and get paid £5 an hour, and another person work for the same company and get paid £50 an hour? Now, of course it's possible, but how is that possible? If two people spend the same amount of time for the same company and one gets paid £5 an hour, other one £50 an hour. Well, the difference is the value that the company places on these people and the value that each of them brings to the company. So if you're not earning enough at the moment, or you're not earning what you'd like to be earning, that you might not have the value that you should have in order to earn that sort of money. And the only way you raise that value is by investing in yourself, In order to earn more, you have to learn more. You have to build new skills. You have to learn more information. You have to become, more experienced, more knowledgeable. Your skills have to increase and get better and more sophisticated in order for you to earn more and to succeed more and to be attractive more. Okay, and the power of emotion. Emotion, they say logic opens the mind and emotion closes the deal. Logic is like the key, but emotion is like, I don't know, it's like a fuel behind it. So you have to sort of get mad about it. You have to have something to prove. Sometimes I speak to people and they go, oh yes, I want to be a millionaire and I want to have a Ferrari, and I want to be, very successful. And I go, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna succeed. And they go, why do you say that? And I go, you're not even, you haven't got emotion behind that. You haven't got the fuel behind that to even go as far as you need to go. You have to get mad. You have to go, I will prove to this thing, to the world or to whoever, that I can do it. I can succeed. I will go whatever it takes. You have to get, passionate about this thing and plan ahead. Come on, failing to plan is planning to fail. You've heard this before, but you might have not taken it into account. Trust me, if you start planning your days, things will start happening. Success doesn't happen by chance or mistake. Trust me, very rarely people become millionaires by chance or by mistake. Most of the time, it happens on purpose. And the only way it can happen on purpose is if you plan ahead. And learn to copy. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. Become a good photocopy. If you want to become the best seller, find the bestseller and ask them, what is it that you do? I need to do the same thing in order to succeed. If you wanted to be the best recruiter, find the best recruiter and ask them, what is it that you do in order to be so successful? And just copy, copy, copy. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. A good leader first is a good follower. So first learn how to follow, and then other people will follow you. And what is your bag or your big, hairy, audacious goal? If your goals are not big, it will not make you grow and it will not stretch you. It doesn't cost anything to think big, but it costs everything to think small. If you think small, it will cost you everything. But if you think big, it will help you to achieve everything you want. So always, always, always think big. If you make a goal, make sure it's realistic, but it stretches you. It's not something that you can easily achieve with very, very little effort. And 2 factors for achievement is making decisions, first of all, to be more, which is the goal setting, but then being disciplined enough to follow through, which is goal getting. Most people just heard of goal setting, so they set the goals and they wonder why their life hasn't changed. But they don't do anything in order to achieve them. So you have to set the goals, and then you have to get out there and get the goals through action. And obstacles in life. Many people see all the obstacles, all the problems. And what I always say is that obstacles is what you see when you take your eyes off your goal. It's when you take your eyes off your target, when you see obstacles. Like we said earlier on, if you stop the activity, then all the problems start, because that's when you start seeing it. If you're always active, then you don't have time to see the obstacles. So if you look for an excuse, you will definitely find one you like. And the key factor is focus. Focusing on things that you want to achieve and just going at it with everything you have. And every challenge is caused by one of the 3 factors. It's either attitude related, work rate related, or skill related. This was something that really, for me, it was like, wow. When I first saw it, I thought, wow, this is amazing. Because if you think any problem in your business, in your life, whatever, is either attitude related, work rate related, or skill related. Whenever somebody in my business approaches me and says, oh, this is, the product is too cheap, or the product is too expensive, I can't recruit, I can't do this. Straight away I look and go, okay, so is this attitude related? Is it that they are limiting themselves in their mind? Is it work rate related? Doesn't mean that they just know working enough in order to achieve that. If you sold 1, then you can sell 10 and 100. You just need to work more, right? Or is it skill related? Is it that they are saying the wrong thing? Is it they are doing the wrong thing? So we have to improve their skill. But it's one of those three things either way. Therefore, an ideal candidate for your business is someone who is optimist, who has a good attitude, who is a hard worker, which means that the work rate will be very, very good, and they're constantly improving their skills and learning, and they are willing to learn. Very often people are not willing to learn, and if somebody is not willing to learn, there is nothing you can do to help them to improve their skills, because they just block the mind. They say, a full glass cannot take any more in. So you have to get some out in order to put something in. And upgrading yourself, people upgrading their telephones, the laptops, their TVs, their cars all the time. They've got the latest this and latest that and latest this. But what was the last time you've upgraded you? What sort of version of you are we seeing? Are we seeing 2.0 or 3.0, or are you still running on the old beta version? So you have to think about that, because you have to move with the world. You have to move with the progression. And personal development is your upgrading. It's your making you a better person. And it leads to increased value in the marketplace. So the more you invest in yourself, the more you develop yourself, the more you improve your skills, the more you improve your attitudes, your physical shape, your health, etc., the more you progress, and the better upgraded version of you we're seeing there. And successful people don't even know if their car radios work. Things like listening to positive materials. They always, their car radio, their iPod, their iPad, and all of that is always playing something educational, motivational, or inspirational. They don't even know if the radio works. And programming for success. So when we become what we think about, and everything that we are right now at this moment in time today is the sum total of everything that we have thought to this period. And it's a fact. And we also know that everything we are or ever will become will come as a result of content of our minds, which means of our thoughts. We do not achieve our destinies or realize our futures through physical effort at all. It is always to do with what we do with our mind and what goes on in our head. And everything that we do to improve our thinking must then, by extension, improve the quality of our lives. And that's the easiest thing to understand. The more you improve your thinking, the more you will improve your outside life, and that's the best way to do that. So there are certain mental laws. And the first mental law is the law of belief. And what it says is that whatever we believe with feeling becomes our reality. And if we wish to change our realities, we must change our beliefs about ourselves in relation to the reality. And this was illustrated by a scientific study was reported in one of the scientific journals, where a young man finished his school, and he's got a letter to invite him to college. And on the letter, it said that he received 98 on his SAT test. And he thought that 98 meant that he had 98 IQ, which is below average IQ, which means that, it's very poor actually. So he went to college, and he actually failed or nearly failed all of the modules in his first term. So the counselor invited him to come in, and he said, what happened? In school you were getting straight A's, and this work that you're doing now is just 1 year more advanced. Why are you failing all of these? And he said, well, you can't be surprised about that, because I only have 98 IQ. And the counselor said, what makes you think that? And he goes, well, that was written on my letter when I got my entry letter. And he goes, no. On your letter was the SAT test score. And SAT test score is a percentile rating, which means 98 means that you did better than 98% of the population, which means he was one of the brightest students, not in that college, but in the whole district. And of course, once he understood that, he went back, and the next term he finished with nearly all A's. But that's because of his belief, because he believed that he was not clever, because he believed that he was stupid, even though that belief was based on a complete nonsense and not a real thing. It was strong enough for him to cause his reality. But when he changed that belief, automatically the reality changed. So if we have a self-limiting belief, they come true for us irrespective of whether or not they're based on fact or fiction. So if you keep telling to yourself, oh, my English is not good enough, or I never remember names, or blah, 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 if you keep saying that to yourself and you really believe that with feeling, then it will become true for you. Even though if it's not true, I mean, even if you're basing it on something that is completely not real. The second law is the law of expectation. And again, what it says is whatever we expect with confidence becomes our self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is why it is absolutely essential that we continue to expect the best of ourselves and we expect the best of every situation. Because if you're going into a meeting and you say, oh, this is going to be a bad meeting, or this is going to be a bad presentation, or this is going to be a bad person, guess what? It's going to be a bad presentation and a bad person, because whatever you expect, that's exactly what's going to happen. And we find that the most successful men and women make a habit of developing positive self-expectancy. They always expect the best things. They're continually manufacturing their own expectations to keep themselves positive and to keep their self-fulfilling prophecies consistent with what they want to accomplish rather than with what they fear. And again, law of expectation was very beautifully shown in one of the experiments done, and it was repeated many times, where in a school they invited free teachers, and they said to these teachers, because of your teaching excellence, because you are the best teachers in the school, we have selected you and we're going to give you the top IQ children. These children have shown the best potential, their IQs are the highest, and we're going to give you these children, and we expect very, very good results from you. Now, you cannot tell anything to these students or to the parents of these students, but you just teach them, and we expect very, very good results. And hence, at the end of the year, this group of students, they not only did the best in school, but they led the whole school district. And of course, the school, school authorities invited these free teachers again, and they said, "Well, you had a fantastic year." And the teachers say, "Yeah, absolutely. It was amazing." And they go, "Well, we have to tell you something. These children that were given to you, they were not the brightest children. They were just children selected at random from the population, and they were just normal children, And the teacher said, "Well, how can that be? Because they did so well, etc." And they say, "Aha, it must be because we are such a good teachers." And I said, "Well, there's a second part of the experiment where we just drew free names from the hat of all the teachers, and your names were the first three we drew from. So you were unfortunately not the best teachers either." So what happened there was the whole thing was caused by the expectation, because the school board expected the best from the teachers and the teachers expected the best from the children. All of this happened, but those expectations once again were based on something that was not real. Neither the teachers were the best nor the children were the best, but because they expected the best, that's what happened. And it is so powerful. The third law is the law of attraction. And what law of attraction says that we inevitably attract into our lives the people and circumstances that harmonize with our dominant thoughts, which means what you think the most is what you're going to attract, like a magnet. If we want to attract different people and different circumstances, we have to change our thinking. And our thoughts are like a form of electromagnetic energy that radiate out from us and attract back to us, like a magnet, those people and those circumstances that harmonize with them. So we have to be very careful what we think about. And this is where, it's evidence a lot of the times when you, for example, decide to buy a new car and you already know which car you're going to buy, and then you start seeing these cars all over the town. Now, it wasn't that those cars weren't there in the first place, but because now you started focusing your mind on that, your mind starts noticing these things. So exactly the same way, when you focus on things you want to achieve in your business, your mind will start noticing opportunities for you to achieve that and to succeed that and to get those results that you want to get. The fourth law is the law of concentration. And again, it says whatever you dwell upon in your conscious mind grows in your experience. So whatever you keep thinking and thinking and thinking about starts growing in your world. And if your thoughts were watered or fertilized by continual concentration, which basically means if you want to grow a plant, it requires fertilizer, water, nutrition, and weeding, etc. If you want to grow something in your life, it requires concentrating on that thought or picture until it becomes your reality. So making a goal is not enough. You have to be focusing on it all the time and thinking about it all the time in order for your thoughts to be like a fertilizer, like a water for a plant, in order to help it grow in your world. The fifth law is the law of substitution. And the law of substitution says that the conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time, either positive or negative. And it is good and it is bad. Because if we want to have positive experience in our lives, we have to keep our mind focused on positive things, positive events, and positive circumstances. Which means if you teach yourself and if you discipline yourself to keep thinking positively, then there is no way that your mind can think negative things, because it can only hold one thought at a time. And your mind is very much like garden, and like in a garden, either the weeds or the flowers will grow. And if you do not consciously and deliberately plant flowers, which are positive thoughts, the weeds, which are negative thoughts, will grow automatically. Weeds do not need any encouragement or any nutrition or any fertilizer or any weeding. They just grow automatically. So negative thoughts will bombard your brain automatically, you want it or not. So you have to physically and deliberately and consciously try and keep your mind positive. Try and keep thinking about positive things, about your goals, about your dreams, about your aspirations, about things that are good in your life and not things that are bad. And also, our minds will tend to be occupied with worries, fears, and anxieties unless we consciously and deliberately fill them with good thoughts. Because like a vacuum, the mind will not remain empty for any period of time unless it's consciously filled in with thoughts consistent with people that we want to be, with characteristics and attributes that we want to have. Otherwise, what we will have is weeds. And the reason why most people are so unhappy with their lives is that simply their minds are full of weeds, full of these bad thoughts. And the two factors that are important is thought and feeling. You see, feeling is the activating process of mind, that emotion. Each thought that we will bring into our reality has to be charged or activated or fueled by this emotion of desire, of love, of excitement, or whatever that emotion is. A thought without feeling doesn't generate a reaction in our lives, and a feeling without a thought doesn't generate a direction. So they have to be mixed. The sixth law is the law of practice or repetition. If we want to develop a motor skill or mechanical skill, if we want to learn how to type or ski or play tennis or we have to first learn the skill, and then we need to practice it over and over and over again until it becomes automatic. Every single attitude, thought, or value that we have is also a habit or pattern of thought, either positive or negative. So if we wish to change from negative habit patterns to positive habit patterns, we have to practice the positive ones over and over until it becomes automatic. If we wish to see ourselves and think about ourselves as positive, constructive, achievement-oriented, forward-looking individuals, we have to think about ourselves and dwell on ourselves as being that type of person all the time. By doing that over and over again, we practice, and that is how it becomes a habit. It becomes automatic. Positive people, you see, they don't have to remind themselves, to be positive when they get up every morning. Positive people have been thinking positive for so long that it is a natural habit for them to be positive. Even if you upset them or something happens to them that shakes that positivity, they just brush it off and they go back into their normal positive state. So it's a habit. It's a habit for them to be optimistic, to look for the good in each situation, to respond positively to other people, etc. It becomes a natural part of their behavior. And they don't have to make any effort. They just have done it over and over again until it becomes an automatic response. And our entire future is dependent upon the habits we form, especially the habit patterns of mind. So if you form good habits, make them your masters, and they will lead you to success in life, because you will either be controlled by positive habits or negative habits. So you might as well choose to be controlled by the positive ones. The seventh law is the law of relaxation, and this law says that in all mental working, effort defeats itself. You see, in a physical working, the harder you work, the faster you achieve the results. It means in the mental world, though, it is exactly the opposite, and it is an absolutely critical distinction. The harder that we don't try, the faster our minds change and we become who we want to become. The more we just relax and confidently believe and expect that the things we want will come into our life when we are ready for them, the more rapidly they will come in. The harder we work, the farther we push and the less success we have. If we try to make things happen out of their due time, invariably we participate the crisis in our life. If we try to make things happen too fast or too slow, especially in mental working, we will cause enormous stress and chaos in our life. The answer is just to relax, to confidently believe, to think about it, and to concentrate on what we want to happen, and to keep our minds focused all the time on where we want to go, and just confidently expect exactly when we are ready that we will come, that the things we want will come to us. And the process of changing the thoughts. So the things we can do to change our thoughts and our habit patterns from negative to positive. We know that we always earn our living in a manner consistent with our self-concept. We behave in a manner consistent with our self-concept. All our performance is linked to our self-concept up to this moment. We also know that, wonderfully enough, that every human being is a continual state of becoming. There's a psychology called psychology of becoming. And psychology of becoming simply says that nobody stays the same for any period of time. They're either progressing or they're regressing, but they're always changing. So we're continually evolving and growing as human beings and becoming more, becoming better and different. And that way, we are always changing in the direction of our ideal self. And we are always changing in the direction of our dominant thoughts and dominant goals. So if we think positive and we think about our goals and we set our goals high and we push ourselves to higher achievement, then we're going to grow towards that. But if we play down, if we take it easy, then that's where we're going to stay, because we can't grow unless we set our goals. And our job in this process is to keep very clearly in our minds the people we would like to be and the goals we would like to accomplish. As we do that, we begin to move irrevocably towards them, like a rocket ship moves towards the distant star and then becomes attracted by the gravity of that star and then moves faster and faster and faster towards it. So exactly the same way, if you just keep focused on what you want to achieve and what you want to have in life, then you will start moving faster and faster and faster towards it. And there are two habits of mind that we must carefully avoid if we are going to continue to grow and evolve toward the full development of our potential. So the first one is called homeostasis, which is the condition of clinging to the status quo, the unwillingness to let go of the past, the desire to keep things exactly the way they are, because we know that the whole idea of change is simply scary for most people. And many people, rather than allowing themselves to go with the flow, will rather allow themselves to go with the flow than change and evolve and grow and become more fulfilled human beings. They will rigidly dig in their heels and hold back the future and keep their minds rigidly fixed on what they are and where they are today and not advance at all. And in order to change our self-concept, one of the first things we learn is that we must be willing to let go of the old person and to become the new person and make efforts in that direction. Now, the second negative habit is called psychosclerosis, or the hardening or the attitudes. This is when we become rigid in our thinking, when we become inflexible and dogmatic, and we would not allow any change into our lives. we again dig in our heels mentally and we try to hold back the tide. And these two negative habits of mind will hold us back, and all they do is hold us in our rigid older self, and they prohibit our growth. So in order to continue growing, we have to let go, and we have to decide to change our minds by developing these new habit patterns of thinking. And how can we develop these new habit patterns? Well, first of all, it takes 10 to 21 days to develop brand new habit patterns of thought. So it will take about 3 weeks usually in order for it to become easy. And the first couple of days are the hardest ones. It seems like quitting smoking. The first couple of days, you're ready to kill somebody, but after some time, it becomes easier and easier and easier. Exactly the same way here. Reprogramming your mind will not be easy. I promise you that. And the first couple of days and the first couple of weeks are the hardest because your mind keeps coming back to the negative stuff. You keep getting disappointed. You keep getting frustrated. You keep getting angry. You keep forgetting to focus on your goals. But the more you do it and the more you practice it, the easier it will become and the more natural it will become to you. So we do it by thinking and talking and acting continuously in the manner consistent with the person we would like to be, with attributes and characteristics that we would like to have. There are several techniques that we can use in terms of moving ourselves to our ideal person. So firstly, we have to form a clear mental picture of how we would like to be and how we would like to behave with the new characteristics and attributes that we would like to have. If, for example, we want to become more patient and kind with our families, then we get very clear picture of ourselves as patient and kind and loving, and we see that picture and we use that as our directional mechanism or our source of direction, a homing beam that focuses in and trying to keep in a straight line with. So this is like a picture you have to draw in your mind, and then you try and keep yourself, in that picture. If we want to develop leadership abilities or ability to make the right decisions or to develop greater self-confidence, then we begin to think of ourselves as if we already had those qualities. We begin to look at other people and think of other people who have those qualities and characteristics, and we see ourselves acting in that way. And as we begin to do that, we begin to change our self-image by replacing the picture that we have in our mind right now of the individual, with the right qualities, with all the things we want to achieve. And as we begin to do that, we begin to change our self-image by replacing the picture that we have in our mind of the individual with the negative habit patterns, with the new picture of ourselves, with the positive habit pattern we wish to develop. And this is, by the way, how we develop all new habit patterns of thought, by continually thinking of ourselves in terms of these new characteristics, qualities, and abilities, and no longer thinking of ourselves as having the limited qualities and characteristics. So you have to forget about telling to yourself, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not brave enough, or I'm not clever enough, or my English is not good enough, or I don't remember things, or whatever. You have to stop that language completely. You have to stop criticizing you or focusing on the negative qualities. So there are 3 methods that we can use to accelerate this process of personal development. The first is called affirmation, which is positive, assertive statements that say yes to our potential. Using positive present tense affirmations, our potential is literally unlimited. For example, using things like, I like myself, I am responsible, I feel terrific, I am decisive, I earn so much per month or per year, etc. Those who know me, you know that every morning when I get up now, I say, I feel terrific. Even if I don't feel terrific, I say, I feel terrific, because that makes me feel terrific, or me and my girls, we stand in front of a mirror in the morning and we say, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, because the more you like yourself, the better you're going to feel about yourself. And if you feel better about yourself, everything else will be better in your life. I promise you that. And repeating these affirmations over and over again, strongly and with feeling. Remember, feeling is the fuel. Feeling is the power behind it. and with confidence and belief and with enthusiasm drives them deep into your subconscious. And your subconscious doesn't know what is true or what is not true. Whatever you say, it takes it as true. So if you keep criticizing yourself, your subconscious will take it as truth and it will make it happen. If you keep saying good things about yourself, then your subconscious will take them and it will make it happen. And the eighth law here is the law of subconscious activity, which says that whatever the conscious mind believes and accepts, the subconscious mind immediately goes to work to bring into our reality. The subconscious mind is a mechanical agent that acts and obeys our instructions. And our instructions are always the content of our conscious mind. So whatever you think is what you're sending the instructions into your subconscious mind. So if you're thinking bad, these are the instructions you're sending into your mind. Our lives are directed by the content and the quality of our thoughts on an ongoing basis, and whatever we think in our mind, we begin immediately to move our mind towards. So it is the same as when you are driving a car and holding your hands on the steering wheel. And if you move the wheel sharply to the left or to the right, the car will move sharply to the left or to the right. Exactly the same way in your life. As you're driving through your life, if you turn your thoughts sharply to the right or the left, your life and experiences will tend to go to that direction too. Sometimes people think that it will take a long time for them to change their thoughts and for their life to change. Actually, it doesn't work like that. It's like driving that car. If you turn your thoughts sharply, if you change your thoughts and you start focusing on positive things, you start seeing positive changes in your life very, very fast. It doesn't take a long time for you to start seeing the difference in your life. And our thoughts have inordinate power and powerful impact on the people around us. Our thoughts have this magnetic energy that causes changes not just in our behavior, but also in the behavior and the performance of other people around us. If we think good about other people, and if we expect and believe in other people and we expect them to do the best, they start performing better as well. Okay, and using these affirmations, we have to keep talking to ourselves. If we want to increase our income, we have to keep talking to ourselves as if we had that income already, saying, I have this much money in my bank account, or I earn this much money every week or every month. And we just have to keep saying it to ourselves until it happens. For affirmations to be accepted by our subconscious mind, they have to be couched in the 3 Ps. They have to be personal, so it's always I, because you are the only person who can refer to you as I. So when you say I, your mind automatically accepts it. They have to be positive, so they cannot be I don't smoke anymore. It will be I am a non-smoker. And it will not say I don't eat, fatty foods anymore. It'll say I eat good food all the time. And they must be in a present tense, as in I am earning this much money every month. I am driving a car. I am a non-smoker. I am now, right? It cannot be I will earn, or I will lose weight, or I will do this, etc. It has to be in the present as if it already happened, because this is how your subconscious will accept it. They'll say, okay, if he or she is saying to me that I am a positive person, then you are a positive. I'm going to make you a positive person then. Okay, the second way of how we can program our minds is called visualization. And visualization is the most powerful single capability that a human being has, and it is the ability to form a clear, precise, vivid mental picture of the things that we want to be, have, or do, and to hold that picture in our minds. Whatever you can hold in your mind on a continuous basis, you can have, be, or do. Whatever you can picture in your mind, you can accomplish. Whatever your mind can conceive, it can achieve. Right? That's from Napoleon Hill. Okay, so your imagination is your preview of life's coming attractions. That's Einstein, right? So whatever you can imagine, this is what you can have in your life. if you can't even imagine yourself achieving certain thing, or if you can't even imagine yourself becoming successful, then there is no way how you can become successful. So it first has to happen in your head, and then it will happen in your reality. Remember what we said? Don't start your day before it's finished in your head. So don't start going and achieving a goal before it's finished in your head. In your head, you should already see yourself as having that goal achieved. People use visualization to heal sick bodies, to achieve higher levels of income, to achieve promotions, to develop new habit patterns of self-confidence, personal power, and enthusiasm. The key to using visualization is to get a clear mental picture of yourself as though you already have the characteristics and attributes that you want. Prior to every situation of importance, take a couple of minutes to play a clear mental picture of the ideal you in the upcoming situation. For example, if you've got a sales presentation, or you're going to see a boss, or you're having a party, or you're giving a talk, or whatever, just before that event, imagine yourself in that situation and imagine it happening perfectly. You getting the results you want to get, you performing the way you want to perform in that situation. Make that picture in your head and then go into that situation. You will see how it will change you. And anything that requires mental preparation, that you want to be at your best, stop for a few seconds, even a few minutes prior to the situation, and form a clear mental picture of yourself performing your very best in that situation, and see ideal result in your mind's eye. See a clear mental picture of the situation coming out exactly the way you wanted it to, and exactly the ideal result. Now, the third technique is to act the part. Well, acting is like the person is that you want to be, with the attributes and characteristics you would like to have. So if we feel in a certain way, we tend to act in that way. Our inner feelings become our outward expression. If we do not feel enthusiastic, positive, and confident, we can act our way into feeling it. We can pretend that we have those characteristics, and within 5 to 10 minutes, we actually start feeling that way. This is what I mentioned earlier on about getting up in the morning, and doesn't matter if you feel like a train wreck, say to yourself, I feel terrific, I feel terrific, I feel terrific. And guess what? Couple of minutes from then, you're gonna start feeling better. I promise you. Just try it. You can fool your mind. That's the beautiful part about it. And if you start off the day by feeling unhappy or grumpy, just pretend as though this is the brightest day of your life, and in a few minutes you will find yourself feeling that way. If ever you find yourself talking to somebody who is talking on a subject that you do not find interesting, just pretend as though that's the most fascinating subject you've ever heard in your life, and within a few minutes you will find yourself deeply engrossed in the conversation. This is the secret to personal relationship. You know, even if you're not feeling interested in what the person says, if you pretend that you're interested, you will start feeling interested in it, because you will fool your mind. If you ever have to study a subject that is dry or of a technical nature, just pretend that it's the most fascinating thing that you've ever read. Lean over the book, lean into it as if this was very, very interesting, and you will fool your brain into liking it. And a couple of minutes later, you'll start finding yourself interested in reading that book. Talking positively to yourself by standing in front of the mirror. It's same like when you're dressed nicely before important occasion. You know, you must have had these occasions where it's a wedding, or it's a christening party, or it's whatever, and you dress up really nicely and you start feeling better because you dressed so nicely. And you can fool your mind exactly the same way when you affirming, when you're visualizing, when you're acting as if, you start feeling better as well. It's like psyching yourself up before the day. And if we put these methods together, we come up with a very interesting technique developed by researcher and Dr. Johannes Schultz in 1905, and it's called autogenic conditioning. It is one of the most effective techniques for bringing about rapid and permanent behavioral change, and it is used very extensively in sports. Autogenic conditioning means self-conditioning, where you condition yourself, and it is tied in very closely with the processes of relaxation and concentration. So what you do in autogenic conditioning is you sit down, close your eyes, relax, breathe very deeply so your whole body goes limp, and then your mind slows down, and then you affirm the goal you want to accomplish and visualize yourself succeeding in that situation. It is a form of meditation. For example, you can count down from 50, and then you keep breathing in and out deeply. And as you're counting down, you start feeling more and more relaxed, and then you go through this visualization where you're conditioning your mind. And the very best time to use these techniques is the first hour of the day and the last hour of the day. So just when you wake up and just before you go to bed. And subconscious is more amenable to new programming during these times of the day than any other time. When you wake up, just sit down strongly and firmly and say to yourself, I feel terrific. The average person gets up and thinks how nice it would be to go back to bed and starts thinking when they will be able to go back to bed that night. Don't do that. Don't do that. Start your day on a positive note, not a negative note. Before you go to sleep, say to yourself, I sleep wonderfully well and I wake up feeling terrific. I sleep wonderfully well and I wake up feeling terrific. You will see that you will wake up feeling better. And we know it works because that's the way, that's what you do when you oversleep. You know, when you oversleep and you forgot your alarm clock and you wake up and you go, wow, I'm late. You just jump out of the bed and you go right into the shower, you get right dressed up and you just start your day fast, and then your body just automatically turns on. But when you wake up and you're slow and you're whinging and you're complaining, then that's how it goes. And when you wake up, for that first hour of the day, do not watch television. Do not listen to the radio or read the newspapers. Do not bombard your brain with all of that negativity. Instead, spend the first 20 to 30 minutes reading something highly inspirational, motivational, or educational, feeding your mind with rich mental protein, with positive information. Use that time to program your mind with information consistent with how you want the rest of the day go. If you wake up and the first thing you do is turn on the news and listening to all the killings and bombings and all the bad stuff, then that's what you're going to have more in your day. But if you wake up and you give something positive to your brain, that's what you're going to have more in your day. And from then on, all day long, make the whole of your life one continuous affirmation. Listen to audio CDs. High-performing men and women say that if you are not constantly listening to educational, motivational, and inspirational audio while driving or traveling on bus or train, then you're just not serious enough about developing your full potential. Successful business people don't even know if their car radio works. They always listening to some positive or educational or motivational stuff. Continually feed your mind. As your body needs food, your mind needs mental food. So go on that 21-day positive mental attitude diet. Concentrate single-mindedly on developing one new positive habit pattern of thought. You are going to think, talk about yourself, and visualize and imagine yourself with one new positive characteristic that you currently do not have. As long as you keep your mind focused on the person that you want to be, then you must become that person. As long as you keep your mind focused on the goal you want to accomplish, you must accomplish it. Do you have the tenacity? Do you have the discipline? Do you have the intensity of purpose to keep your mind focused on what you really want to accomplish? Or are you just going to allow your mind to drift back to thinking of all the negative and all the fears and all the doubts? The most powerful influence on our action and behaviors in life is the power of love. Everything that we do in life is either to get love or to compensate for the lack of love. But we also know that one of the most powerful single influences on the people that we become is the power of suggestion. We are influenced by everything that we see, hear, or read. We are surrounded by a suggestive environment that automatically affects how we feel about ourselves. And this is the power of suggestion. So the single most influential part of our suggestive environment is actually human beings with whom we habitually associate. It is your friend circle or your colleague circle. And Dr. David McClelland from Harvard found after 25 years of research into achievement that you could take people, give them the finest training in achievement qualities and characteristics. You could train them in overcoming negative emotions and developing positive attitudes, train them in mental programming and goal setting, creativity and problem solving. But if they went away from that training and back into association with their previous reference group, if they start hanging out, if you like, with the old negative go nowhere crowd, that alone was enough to preclude all possibility of them ever developing or reaching their full potential as human beings. So you have to really control who you associate, who you spend your time with, because if you're spending your time with negative people, they will kill all the progress you could ever achieve, and all your trainings and all your self-development will go for nothing if you go back into that negative thinking and negative crowd. So there are 4 techniques for rapid behavioral change. One is written programming technique, writing out your goals in a very specific and precise way as possible and as often as possible. Every time we write down a goal, we program it deeper and deeper into our brain, and subconscious goes to work to bring it into our reality. So goals, you don't just write them once. Keep rewriting them. Keep rewriting them. Have a book for your goals and keep writing them and rewriting them and changing them and making them better and more detailed and more precise, and keep rewriting them. The more you write them, the deeper you're going to program them into your mind. And the best time to write and rewrite your goals is the first thing in the morning before you start the day. Because again, when you do that, your mind, it makes you aware of the situations and opportunities to move ahead with those goals as you're going through the day. So when you rewrite your goals in the morning, you'll go out in your day and you will start noticing opportunities to take advantage of in order to move ahead with your goals. The second one is quick programming technique, which is used before any non-recurring event of importance. Deep breath, relax, and affirm an ideal outcome. This presentation goes excellently. This meeting goes perfectly. And visualize and see yourself in that situation as an ideal self, with ideal results, with ideal outcome. Number 3 is sports programming technique, or what they call mental rehearsal. This training athletes, they go through the entire sports routine in their mind in advance of it actually happening. So before they run their run, or before they do the jump, or before they do certain sports activity, they run through the whole event in their mind. And the beauty of it is that the mind cannot tell the difference. If they run the race in their head, their mind is thinking that they're actually doing it. So when they actually go to run, their mind is saying, well, we've done it already, so it's not going to be as difficult as it is. So if you run these events in your mind doesn't know it hasn't happened yet. If you run this presentation in your mind will think, well, we've done it already, so it's not that difficult anymore. Top golfers, top figure skaters, and almost all the Olympic athletes are using this technique to plan, prepare, and practice over and over again. And the 4th technique is what they call standard programming technique. We use this to develop new thoughts and habits and to achieve our goals. It involves writing out our goals in a present tense, personal positive affirmations on a 5x8 card, and then sitting down, taking a couple of deep breaths and relaxing so that conscious mind drops into this alpha, or the state of deep relaxation. Then reading the goal on the card and repeating it 3 to 5 times. I earn X per year. I earn X per year. Or I weigh certain amount of kilograms. I weigh certain amount of kilograms. And seeing yourself enjoying the results, enjoying the benefits of already having achieved that goal. Okay, guys, thank you for listening to this presentation. Let me just come out of this and see if I can go back into that screen share. Let's try and stop that screen share. Okay, I think I stopped it. Fantastic. Now, guys, I hope that you found this useful. I hope that you found this beneficial. I hope that this made something tweak in you, made you feel that, oh, you know, maybe I could do something with this. Maybe I could put this in practice. And as I always say at every training that I finish, this dry information has no power unless you put it in action. So the next thing to do is to take this information and practice it. Try at least a couple of these tips, try at least a couple of these techniques to put in your life. You know, for me, first thing I would suggest and first thing I'd like you to do is start thinking positively. Stop all the negativity in your life. Stop all the complaining. Take responsibility. Wherever you are in life today, it's because of you. Whatever you have good in your life is thanks to you. Whatever you have bad in life, it's thanks to you as well. Take the responsibility. Stop blaming everybody else. Take the responsibility and you'll see how you will start feeling in control of your life. And then try to see something positive in every situation, even bad things that happen to you. Try and see, okay, what is good about this? What can I learn from this situation? Even if there's nothing good about that problem, what can I learn? What is the lesson in this? What is the lesson that I've been given from this problem? And always, always, always try to be positive. At least for the next 3 weeks, for the next 21 days, try to become the positive person. Just thinking positive, just talking positive, just looking for positives in people and on all of the situations. You will see how your life will start changing. And then start working on programming your mind. Just imagine your mind is a computer and you can program thoughts and goals and visions and big things in your mind. Whatever you want to become more confident, you can program that in your mind. You want to become a better salesperson, you can program that. You want to become a better recruiter, you can program that. Just work on it. It's possible, trust me. You just need to go at it. It's like a muscle. You know, when you start first going to the gym, it hurts. You know, you feel pain next day. You know, you get up and you go, oh my God, my legs, right? It's the same thing here. When you start training your mind, when you start programming your mind, it will hurt you to begin with. It's not going to be easy, but the more you do it, the better it becomes. And when you start feeling the results, when you start feeling the difference, you will want more of it. You will go at it even more hard. You know, you will start concentrating even more. So guys, I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for coming onto this webinar. I hope you found this useful. We will have more of these trainings. You know, we will have more of these events. Just follow us on Facebook. You know, you're on WhatsApp groups, you're on you know, Skype groups and all of that. You know, you will see the links, you will see the information there, but don't miss these trainings, you know, because some of them will be life-changing and you don't know which one is the life-changing. So just use all of them, share them with your people, share them with your teams, help other people grow. And you know, guys, I'll see you at the top. Have a great evening. Have a fantastic year. We just started, you know, so you're starting strong. I wish you the best. You know, I wish you to succeed in every area of your life this year and to have the best year ever. God bless. I will speak to you soon.